On today's show, it's a game day preview. The Ottawa Senators continue their marathon road trip in Dallas to take on the Stars.
And could the Ottawa Senators get some reinforcements on this back-to-back?
This is Brady Kachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome! You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators, the only daily podcast covering the Sens. On the outskirts of enemy territory, I'm Ross Levitan, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. Today is Thursday, January 2nd, and Pilsy, forget everything I said about all of the resolutions yesterday. My only New Year's resolution is to get 2 points tonight in Dallas.
Nice. Well, Ross, luckily for you, I'm very easy at forgetting things. So that done. Already forgot about it. So we're on to Dallas. Let's get the 2 points tonight. But Ross, this will be no easy task. The Dallas Stars are one of those teams, I look at the Dallas Stars as Carolina Hurricanes West, right?
They got to a final, though. Carolina could never.
Yeah, that's fair. No massive superstars, but some really top end players and a lot of depth, really good coaching, really good drafting. They don't get a lot of bad contracts. You don't hear their team in the news being like, oh, what a dumpster fire, what an embarrassment. None of that comes out of the Dallas Stars. They're just a tip-top organization from top to bottom, and it's going to be tough to beat them on the road in Dallas.
You're going to hear that over and over again whenever people talk about the Dallas Stars. Our good buddy Mark Mathod always mentioned Jim Nill. Yep. The GM there is just all class. Comes from the winning pedigree back when the Detroit Red Wings were winners, and now he's doing his own thing with the Dallas Stars, who are led, by the way, points-wise by hashtag Sens Abroad Matt Duchene. We'll get to that in a few more minutes because we've got to discuss rest versus rust. That's the old adage. Do you want time off to get time to rest, recover, and practice? Or do you want to be in the thick of things night in, night out, playing games and keeping yourself in game shape? Where do you think the Senators are on that spectrum here after a big win Sunday in Minnesota, but then 3 full days off in Texas?
Ross, to quote our old head coach, Guy Boucher, rest is a weapon. And I don't know, in this scenario, I'm looking at rest as a weapon, Ross, because you hope a couple of the banged up bodies get a little bit of time to recover. Like we're talking about, Artem Zub, he's there. He's been practicing. Let's see if he gets in the lineup tonight. If not, I would be shocked, Ross, if he's not in the lineup tomorrow. Would be a weird move for the Sens to fly him into Dallas, have him practice in a regular jersey and not play him at least one of the games. So for me, I think this is actually an advantage that the Senators have had a couple days off here.
Okay, meanwhile, the Dallas Stars, they're in that night in, night out game. They played on New Year's Eve against the Buffalo Sabres. They've had a couple, I don't want to call any game in the NHL easy, but when your last 2 games are against Buffalo and Chicago, dead last in each respective conference, they won both of those games. No surprise there. They lost to Minnesota in overtime at home on the 27th. So Dallas has been playing every other night. That continues tonight as they have game 2 of a 3-game homestand. But for Ottawa, those reinforcements are where I want to touch on because we talked yesterday with Matt in our Sens Central Citizen discussion about the D-core and do you put Zub right back with Jake Sanderson? Look, nothing's come out yet as we're recording here just before noon Eastern time, but you don't fly a guy cross-country internationally for him not to play. And he's already had 2 practices. He was skating in Ottawa beforehand. My gut feeling is that Artem Zub plays tonight, and I'd be surprised if it's not with Jake Sanderson.
Yep, I'm with you on that, Ross. I think it wouldn't make much sense to put him anywhere else other than Jake Sanderson. You got to get Sanderson back to the level we know he can be at. And when he's been at his best, most of that time for Jake Sanderson has been with Artem Zub as his right-hand man. So I want to see those two get back together. You're not about to break up Chabot and Jensen. And Tyler Kleven has shown that he has good chemistry with JBD, fellow hashtag Nodak Sen, or Nicholas Matingpalo, as those two played a really nice game up against Minnesota and have chemistry from playing a bunch of minutes together in the minors with Belleville. So it would be a weird move for me, Ross, if he was anywhere but with Jake Sanderson.
I'm really curious to see how Artem Zub looks. He also, like, I don't want to call it a blessing in disguise. Obviously, you never want to see guys get hurt and a fractured foot blocking a shot, but I wonder if the extra time is good for the initial injury that he had this season, the concussion that he suffered against the LA Kings when Tanner Jeannot just ran right through him. Because after coming back from that injury, in 8 games, he was -8 with 3 minor penalties, which is also very unlike Artem Zub, the way he plays typically. And he only had 2 assists. Now, they're both in the game against Toronto, the 3-0 win, but his ice time was down from what we saw last year. Like, he just didn't look like himself in those 8 games when he came back from the concussion. So I wonder if the time off and the healing, obviously being a lower body injury, he wasn't skating the entire time, had to let that rest and recover. I'm really curious and hopeful that he's going to be at as close to 100% as we've seen him since the first 3 games of the year.
Yeah, that's a good point, because concussions, like, I've never had a concussion, but you never know. Like, you're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days. And I think it is one of those things where you got to take it easy for a while. And like you mentioned, with a fractured foot, it's not like you're going to be out there doing skating drills or really much of anything. You're kind of stuck to just walking around in a boot. So I think that should help him. And Artem Zub isn't 100% healthy very often. So let's hope that's the case now.
And we have not added him into our line charts, but if you need a refresher on how the juggling went in the game in Minnesota, this is how we expect the forward lines to stay, because if we know one thing about coaches, they ain't going to move too many pieces around in a winning lineup. So Shane Pinto up on the top line with Brady Tkachuk and Ridley Gregg. Tim Stützle is between Adam Gaudette and Drake Batherson. Josh Norris is centering Nick Cousins and Claude Giroux. And the fourth line, it's still Alberta Beef, Pillsy. It's not Ridley Gregg anymore, but they've got another Albertan down there. It's Zach Ostapchuk centering Cole Reinhardt and Noah Gregor. On the back end, Thomas Chabot with Nick Jensen. We're leaving Jake Sanderson with Travis Hamonic for now, and Clevin with JBD. I know JBD was not in the lineup Sunday against Minnesota. It was Nicholas Matingpalo. So still a lot of questions on the back end. Also, questions in goal, because over the last 2 practices, Pillsy, it's been Marilainen, it's been Sogard, and it's been Anton Forsberg who've been sharing the crease. So what are you thinking, or maybe hoping the Senators do, knowing that they play tonight in Dallas, but also tomorrow night in St. Louis?
Well, at time of recording, Ross, it's 11:58 a.m. Eastern here. We don't even know any news of the Sens having a morning skate, so we'll see what happens later on today with how the lines are going to shape up, who's healthy, who's being in, who's not. But as far as what I'm hoping, Ross, I'm hoping Artem Zub, you put him beside Sanderson, Travis Hamonic, odd man out. And then you start Levi Marilainen in this game and have Anton Forsberg back him up, with the intention that Anton Forsberg hopefully can start tomorrow's game up against the St. Louis Blues. Those are my hopes.
Pillsy, who is your locked-on player to watch tonight for the Ottawa Senators?
My locked-on player to watch tonight for the Ottawa Senators is number 19, Drake Batherson. Batherson's still sitting at a point per game, Ross, in 36 games. 13 goals, 23 assists, 36 points, math guy. And he's on a 2-game point streak. He had an assist in both the Winnipeg and Minnesota Wild game. I want to see him really work with Tim Stützle. I think, like, obviously we've seen a lot of Tim Stützle and Claude Giroux together, but I think the combo of Tim Stützle and Drake Batherson together, that to me makes a lot of sense, as both of them are kind of dual threat guys. So they're liable to be able to shoot or pass in a very effective way at any given moment in the offensive zone. And then combine them with a guy that can pretty much just has one part of his game, shooting pucks and scoring goals, Adam Gaudette. I'm hoping this line works, Ross, for a second line for the Sens here.
Yeah, so am I. I think that's a really good call there, Pillsy, and he's just so creative. And if you can get, like, I'd love to see Adam Gaudette score. It's been a little while now for him. Not that we expect him to be a 30-goal guy. That's what he's on pace for still with his hot start, but I'd like to see Gaudette get going tonight, my locked on player to watch is going to be Shane Pinto. I just think this is such a great opportunity for him playing with Brady Tkachuk. Those two have had success at times, but haven't played a whole lot together. And then with Ridley Gregg on that line, I think it's just the perfect complement. I really like that line on paper. So I'm going to go with Shane Pinto. Obviously, he's been scoring goals at a lot higher of a clip than he has in the past. And we know that the Sens are 6-0 when Shane Pinto has a point this season, and 45-10-6 all time when he gets on the score sheet. He's got 6 points in the last 8 games. So funny enough how that works, where the Sens have been winning games. And I think it's a well-deserved opportunity for him to move up in the lineup. Now, I got to speak with Brad Schlossman about Shane Pinto and the Nodak Sens. He works for the Grand Forks Herald. He's a friend of the show, been on many a time. So you can go check out that article. We posted it on our Twitter. And he talked to Pinto about how, look, that injury that kept him out for 2 weeks, like, he's not making excuses. And you could tell that he was kind of tiptoeing around the answers, but he hasn't been playing at 100% all year. And it's good to see that he's back buzzing now. So I think tonight's a great opportunity where we'll get to the Dallas Stars, but they have a lot of strength down the middle. So it's going to be a tough test on the road. And Ottawa's been a great face-off team all year, and I'll be looking for them to win that battle again tonight and try to get some extended possessions off of one face-offs. And who better than Shane Pinto to be the guy to snap them back? So my locked-on player tonight is Shane Pinto.
Yeah, Ross, that's a good call. The Ottawa Senators are third in the league in face-off percentage success at 53.1, but not too far down. At sixth in the league is the Dallas Stars at 52.1. So literally just 1% less than the Ottawa Senator in the face-off dot. So it's going to be a tough battle when those big offensive and defensive zone draws are going on.
Dallas Stars are 4-1 in their last 5 home games against the Ottawa Senators. You might remember that one win, though, where Neville Gallimore, the then Dallas Cowboys defensive end, he's an Ottawa boy. He wore a Sens jersey to the game, and the Stars staff tried to get him with the Stars jersey, and he just put it on sideways just to be polite, and then left the Sens jersey on, went down to meet the boys afterwards. But the last time these two teams played, it was a win for Ottawa, convincing one at that, 4-1 on the Canadian Tire Center home ice. Remember that, where they beat Dallas and beat Vegas in back-to-back games last year? And we were like, oh, are we back? No, we weren't. But now the Ottawa Senators, I think, are a much more structured team. And if I'm Matt Duchene, obviously he's a hockey nerd, and I'm sure he's following along with his old buddies, Brady Tkachuk and Thomas Chabot, guys who he played with in Ottawa. I'm sure he'll notice tonight a difference in the mentality of this Ottawa Senators team, and we hope it can continue as this 9-game road trip trucks on. This is game 7 out of 9 on the road trip. They'll play in St. Louis tomorrow and then in Detroit on Tuesday to finish things off. Let's take a peek at our opponent tonight, the Dallas Stars. On the other side, we'll wrap up today's show with a little Nodak Sens discussion. How are all 4 of them doing? And is this really a rare feat for 4 college teammates to play on the same team, not just for one game, but basically the entire season? That's next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Mary J's. They're a locally owned cannabis dispensary in the Ottawa area, and they got 4 stores in Ottawa. You can check them out at Riverside South, Orleans, Greeley, and Russell. Mary J's offers the best and newest products in the market, and they're adding new stuff to the menu every single week to keep it fresh. They have competitive pricing. In fact, guys, they're going to price match any store in Ottawa. That means you're guaranteed to get the best price around whenever you shop at Mary J's. They have awesome customer service with some of the friendliest bud tenders around who are always ready to help you out. One of the owners, Dashy, absolute beauty, diehard Sens fan, and you can usually find him at one of the 4 stores. So go to one of those stores, say what up to Dashy, and pick his brain about the Sens and all the latest, greatest products that Mary J's has to offer. And check out their website and get yourself a loyalty card. Check it out today, guys. Mary J's Dispensary.
Today's episode is also brought to you by Gametime. Gametime is the place to go when you need last-minute tickets to the best events. I'm talking concerts, theater, sports, and music, of course. So one of my favorites is last weekend when I was up in the 5th row watching the Ottawa Senators take on the Winnipeg Jets. Of course, I got my tickets. using the Gametime app. When you use it, it's easy. It's also really the way to go when you want the best tickets. They've got this thing called Gametime Picks. The feature filters out the fluff. All the people who are just trying to roast you on the ticket sale. No, they filter that and they only show you incredible deals on great seats. That way you don't have to waste your time searching through thousands of tickets. So get to the Gametime app. Use the super deal. It's also offering great seats at unbeatable prices. The app also has an all-in pricing feature to give you the total cost up front so you don't get any surprise fees. Nothing worse than that. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL. That's LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? It's game time. All right, Pilsy, game day for the Ottawa Senators. It is an 8 o'clock Eastern start. We are in the heart of Texas, Dallas tonight. It's going to be a great game. We'll have the postcast for you afterwards. We've got our boots on the ground report set up with Avi Bolka. Sens Central Citizens going to be in attendance. And we're looking forward to Ottawa having a tough test tonight. A win tonight would go a long way, I think, with the national storyline around the Ottawa Senators. This Dallas Stars team, nobody in the league allows less goals than the Dallas Stars. They have allowed only 91 goals. Now, the Senators are 7th in goals against. Let's get a little respect on Ottawa's name. 7th best in goals against this year. Ottawa's got 102 against, but Dallas at 91. How do you score on these guys?
I don't know, Ross. According to our friends over at TSN 1200, it sounds like the Dallas Stars are practicing right now, and Jake Ottinger was first off the ice for Dallas, so he is likely the starter tonight. Jake Ottinger having a pretty good season as he is sitting at a
909 save percentage and a 238 goals against average. He's 17-9-1 on the season. He won his last start against Chicago, but if you look back, man, in his last 10 games, he's only got 4 wins. He's 4-5-1 in his last 10 with an 899 save percentage. So
yeah, that's surprising. And Ross, the Dallas Stars, they have allowed the fewest goals against, but if you do goals against per game, the Winnipeg Jets have allowed less goals against per game, but the Dallas Stars are right there with 2.53. We know the Ottawa Senators got 2 goals on the Winnipeg Jets. They got off to that 2-0 lead, and then the Jets shut the door after that. So it's going to be similar style of game that they're up against with these Dallas Stars. And Ross, we talk about it's tough to score goals up against the Stars. Well, you may think, well, what about if you have a man advantage? You got to be able to score easily on this team, or at least more easily. No, hold your horses there. They are 3rd in the NHL in PK percentage at 84.7%, Ross. And they've been dominating the penalty kill recently. Dallas leads the NHL in penalty killing since December 7th. This number is staggering. 95.2% success rate on the penalty kill. So this is the classic, Ross. The Ottawa Senators power play, unstoppable force meets an immovable object. What's going to give? Not sure, but I think the Ottawa Senators are going to have to try to focus on scoring 5-on-5. Obviously, you want your power play to have opportunities, especially when it's as potent as the Ottawa Senators one is, but I don't know, with Jake Ottinger and the way this team just clamps down defensively, it's not going to be easy.
The LOSP stats department is hard at work. I got something for you on Jake Ottinger, but before that, 95% PK means that opponents' power plays are only 5%, eh?
Yeah, well, if you want to get real specific, 95.2 means opponents' power plays are only 4.8%.
Wow. Well, if you want to see what a 4.8% power play looks like, maybe go watch Team Canada at the World Juniors.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh,
got him. All right, the LOSP stats department is now on deck, and Jake Ottinger has played at least 3 games against every team in the National Hockey League. I say 3 games because he's played 3 against Ottawa. He has no team with a worse save percentage against than the Ottawa Senators. An .818 save percentage in 3 games. He's 1-1 over that stretch. So
give
there
us
you
Ottinger.
Go. We want Ottinger in goal. All right, let's take a look at how the Dallas Stars are expected to line up in tonight's game. Rupe Hintz is their top line center with Jason Robertson and Evgeny Dadanov at right wing. Second line, another Sens abroad, Matt Duchene between Jamie Benn and Wyatt Johnston. The third line, Maverick Bourque between Oscar Back and Logan Stankoven. The fourth line is Sam Steele in between Arttu Hiiri and Colin Blackwell. On the back end, it's Miro Heiskanen with Ilya Labushkin. It's Esa Lindell with Niels Lundqvist. And it's Thomas Harley with Matt Dumba. In goal, did not update it properly. It is Jake Ottinger with, who's their backup now? Is it still Scott Wedgwood?
Nope, he's over in
Colorado. They got all the Woods.
Yeah, exactly. Their backup is Casey DeSmith, who's actually playing pretty well this year, and he signed a 3-year, $3 million deal. So just a million per for a couple of years. That's a nice little tidy piece of business there by the Dallas Stars.
And Jake Ottinger, just the last point on him, he's an old college buddy of Brady Tkachuk. They went to Boston University at the same time.
Oh, nice.
So there you go. Who's your lookout player to watch tonight for the Dallas Stars?
My lookout player to watch tonight for the Dallas Stars is Sens abroad. You mentioned it, Ross. Matt Duchene. He leads the Dallas Stars in points, 33 points in 36 games. That would put him 4th on your Ottawa Senators, just for those checking at home. But Ross, our guy, Jamie at Sens Buzz on Twitter, he made a good point. Matt Duchene has just been involved throughout his career with like poor timing with a lot of teams. Like obviously Colorado, things didn't go well for him. There's the infamous grumpy school photo day where he was like, I'm just here so I don't get fined. Trade me immediately. I hate it here. And then the Ottawa Senators get him. And it's one of the worst stretches in Sens history that he's there. And then he goes to Columbus, doesn't get anything done really, points-wise. And then he goes to Nashville and has a terrible time and gets did he get bought out by Nashville or traded?
Bought out
by Nashville. And then finally he finds a home in Dallas where he's thriving. But you got to put some respect on Matt Duchene as far like a career. In 1,092 games, he's got 842 points. And on Hockey Reference, they do this cool thing where they average 82 games, what your average points are. He's averaging 63 points a game per 82 a game season. So
yeah, per 82. He's not averaging 63 points per game.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. you know what I meant there.
Yeah. On pace.
Yes. So like this guy consistently gets it done. And I think he really likes it in Dallas. And clearly they like having him there. And he's someone that I always love watching. When he was an Ottawa Senator, he was almost at a point per game. When he was in Ottawa in 118 games, he had 107 points. Kind of meaningless time there. But this is a good player that at 34 years old can still get it done.
Yeah, you don't want to look at the wins-loss record when Matt Duchene was in Ottawa.
No.
But he did win his first 2 games against his old team in Sweden, and then the 18-wheeler went right into the ditch. My lookout player is going to be Jason Robertson because, look, this guy, he came onto the scene with an absolutely incredible season. 41 goals in 74 games in his 3rd year as a 22-year-old. What did he follow that up with? How about 4th in MVP voting at 109 points and 46 goals? But last year, a step back, still great, 80 points. This year, he's only got 9 goals in 36 games. Like going from a 46, 41 goal pace, now he's on pace for like 25 playing on the top line. I'm just curious because it feels like this is the type of guy where it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when he's going to get back to popping off offensively. So I'm a little nervous about Jason Robertson tonight, Pilsy.
Yeah, that's fair. It is crazy, the downfall that he's had. But, I mean, Ross, you look at it, he's second on the Dallas Stars team in points with 28. So
and he's been heating up.
Yeah, it's not like he's a nobody or invisible there, but certainly you expect him to put the puck in the back of the net a little more often than 9 times.
Yeah, 20 points in his last 19 games, though. So it's starting to come around from him. Again, only 5 goals in the last 19 games, but he scored in back-to-back games, and that makes me worried that he could be a guy who's starting to get into a bit of a rhythm. That's tonight's game. The Ottawa Senators taking on the Dallas Stars. Now for a deeper look inside 4 Ottawa Senators, their journey to the NHL. We'll get to that next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are almost here, week 18, but it's not too late to get in on regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And right now, new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up a win. I love betting on the over-under, same game parlays, and you got to get some futures in the mix too. You can also bet on which players will score a touchdown, how many points each individual team will score, and so much more. So visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
All right, Pillsy, it is a game day for the Ottawa Senators taking on the Dallas Stars. It is game 7 of this 9-game road trip. Game 8 tomorrow in St. Louis, and it will wrap up in Detroit on the 7th of January. A little fun fact as well. This is the first game on a weekday for the Ottawa Senators since you were there in Calgary exactly 2 weeks ago. They've been weekend warriors since then.
Yeah, that's a weird stat. But Ross, as a daily Sens podcaster, I like it when they play games throughout the week. Keeps things interesting. So let's get some more of those going.
You got any thoughts on how Linus Ullmark was snubbed for the 3 stars of the month? It was Nathan MacKinnon 1. It was Leon Draisaitl 2. And then it was Jacob Markstrom 3. So it's not like they went with a player. They went with a goalie not named Jacob Markstrom or not named Linus Ullmark.
Yeah, Ross, just quick, can you remind me how many assists does Jacob Markstrom have in the month?
0.
Linus Ullmark has an assist that I was there for on a game-winning goal. Get him in there. Come on.
That's the last play of a weekday game for the Ottawa Senators since now. But look, I'm not trying to be a homer here. I'm just being a stats guy. Identical goals against averages, 1.3. Now, Markstrom did play one more game, started one more game, and of course, Ullmark missed the last 40 minutes of his last game. So he played 75 minutes less, give or take. So just over a game. Well, a game and a period, really. There's a couple of overtimes in there that skew it a touch. Now, I had a Devils fan say, easier to have a higher save percentage in less games. I would remind him that save percentage is based on shots, not on time on ice. And with that, even though he played a full game and a bit less, Jacob Markstrom faced 46 less shots than Linus Ullmark. Both of them had 2 shutouts. In each of Markstrom's shutouts, he had 12 saves. Ullmark was getting 12 saves a period throughout this entire run.
Yeah, 12 save shutouts is wild, Ross. You could have put me in net with my bloody chicken goalie mask, and I could have been in a rocking chair, and I probably could have kicked out 12 saves.
Probably. And on that note as well, Jacob Markstrom made less than 20 saves in 6 of his 10 games.
Come on. Wow. Must be nice to have just the team in front of you do everything for you, and you get all the credit. Classic group project, eh?
Yeah, I mean, let's see how Team Sweden responds to this. I can't wait to see who starts for Sweden at the 4 Nations. Obviously, this is great for them. Markstrom was 8-1-1, and Ullmark was 7-0-1. Interesting. So that's my qualm of the day, is that Linus Ullmark was snubbed for a 3-star of the month. The identical goals against average, but save percentage, that's a .937 for Markstrom. Very good. Very good. Good job, Jacob Markstrom. Linus Ullmark was at a .956.
Let's go.
He's like the Dallas Stars penalty kill out there.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, good call.
Amazing. work from Linus Ullmark this month, and we hope that he is rested up and ready to go. Hopefully Tuesday would be my hope against Detroit, but if not, when the Ottawa Senators return home next Thursday to host the Buffalo Sabres. All right. I know we touched on it already, but the Nodak Sens, the story has been written. It's so cool. And Brad Schlossman reached out because he's like, I know you guys started the Nodak Sens moniker, and like, why were you guys so interested in North Dakota? And I was like, well, these aren't just 4 prospects, Pilsy. 2 first-rounders, including 5th overall pick Jake Sanderson, and the Ottawa Senators weren't playing games, and it was kind of nice following a team that kept winning.
Yeah, Ross, I vividly remember through the COVID times, me and you texting back and forth, being like, all right, Nodak Sens game starts in half an hour. Let's tune in. And I had the college standings bookmarked on my laptop, and I was following along, and I was reading all Schlossman's articles that he was putting out. Great writer also, if you guys are interested in college hockey. Brad is one of the best. So that was a cool time because there was no hockey, and you and I were in full draft mode, and we were in full covering Sens prospect mode. So that was it was a lot of fun, especially with a team as good as the Nodak Sens were back then, and with a program as prestigious as they have over there.
And you saw it in Winnipeg. You saw it in Minnesota, as Brad Schlossman reported in his article. He was boots on the ground for that win in Mini. Like, there's a lot of North Dakota jerseys at these Ottawa Senators games now, whether people are wearing a Sens hat to go along with their jersey or if they're just soaking it in and supporting the 4 Nodak Sens. It's just awesome to see. And he said he's going to take a deep dive into this, the tireless research of Brad Schlossman. If this has ever happened before, that 4 college teammates,
no way.
I don't think that it's possible that there's been that many on the same team and who have all transitioned to full-time NHLers. Like, Jake Sanderson is 8 games away from 200 already in his career. Shane Pinto's at 168. Jacob Bernard Docker at 129. And Tyler Kleven's going to play his 54th game in the NHL tonight. Like, that is an incredibly impressive resume for Coach Brad Berry and all the staff in North Dakota to say, yeah, we graduate guys all the time and they play in AHL in Europe and the NHL too. But 4 guys on the same team, including the top minute leader in terms of Jake Sanderson, as well as a top line center tonight in Shane Pinto. Like, that's unreal. And it shouldn't be taken for granted how rare that is.
Ross, I would even be shocked if there's a case where 4 players from the same alma mater, like just to the same school, let alone teammates, have played that many games together on the same NHL team as the 4 Nodak Sens. Like that, it just doesn't happen very often. And I mean, we joked about it, Ross, but clearly Pierre Dorion and the scouting staff, they were locked on to North Dakota. And it's kind of crazy, Ross. Obviously, this didn't work out, but they were hoping that there was going to be a Nodak Sens group of 5 because they drafted Johnny Tyconic as well. So, like, it's nuts how deep the roots go connecting North Dakota hockey to the Ottawa Senators.
Well, how about connecting North Dakota? The mayor of Grand Forks is Brandon Bachensky, former Ottawa Senator.
And Christian Willanen as well. Like, it's
Ryan Lee, Ben Blood. Like, there was always a guy, but for 4 and all top 2-round picks, it's just unbelievable. So credit for Brad Schlossman for doing a deep dive into that.
Yeah, definitely. And we love all the people that are involved in the North Dakota community. We connected with them a bunch. And I really implore Sens fans, if you're kind of interested in college hockey, go to the Ralph. I haven't even seen a game there, Ross. You've seen multiple games there.
You got it. We're going to make it happen. Next time Ottawa has a pick in the NCAA, we'll plan that when they come to town. It's like nothing else, man.
Yeah, like I just did the tour there. And and you're in awe of how amazing this building is. The facilities are, not even joking, their facilities and their training rooms and the opportunities and the tools that the college kids have at their disposal at North Dakota is probably better than a handful of NHL teams right now. Maybe not so much with the Arizona Coyotes not around anymore and the Sens boosting their spots, but it's just amazing what they do there. And if you're a young hockey prospect and you're looking at schools to go to and you have the opportunity to go to North Dakota, that is a no-brainer, in my opinion.
Yeah, we'll see how the transfer portal works now, and now they can get CHL guys. Brad thinks that that's going to be a benefit to them long term. So we'll be following along that. But tonight it's an Ottawa Senators game day, 8:00. The Ottawa Senators will take on the Stars in Texas. Shoot for the moon, but even if you miss, you'll land upon the Stars. Pills, any final thoughts on today's show?
Oh boy. No final thoughts for me. This is going to be an interesting game for the Sens. I can't wait to see what the lines are. We'll keep you updated on Twitter at Sens Central, but I'm fired up that Sens hockey is back, Ross. I had a tweet typed out and I didn't hit post because I didn't want to be that guy. The tweet was, wow, the Ottawa Senators have been in a wild card spot all year long. But I don't want to be the guy that does the year jokes like see you next year on December 30th or like stuff. So yeah, exactly. So
and because it's December 31st, you would have been screwed anyways.
What do you mean?
You said see you next year on December 30th, and it's like no, tomorrow's still
31st. Oh, I thought I said the 31st, man. I'm having a couple slip ups here. I'm sick. I'm battling here. This is
okay
for me.
Grinding it out.
Hey, nobody said podcasting was easy, so here we are.
No, here we are, and we'll be back for the postcast tonight. Cannot wait for another weekday Sens game. Really been too long. Like, weekends are fun, for sure. Back-to-backs are another thing. We got another game day tomorrow. But tonight, Senators hockey. Feel the excitement. It's a busy night in the NHL as well. A lot of teams are right back in the mix. 12 games tonight. Let's go through the cheering guide, as we like to do. Let's take the Carolina Hurricanes over the Florida Panthers, although it's more of a pipe dream to catch them more than anything, but keep as many points out of the Atlantic Division as possible. And this is a tough one for me, Pillsy, because we've been cheering so hard against the New York Rangers all year. We got our Rangers hats on tonight. They're playing the Boston Bruins at home.
Yeah, you got to cheer for the Rangers there. Yep.
I don't think I care about the Red Wings Blue Jackets game. Like, I guess keep the points out of the division, but the Blue Jackets are closer to the playoffs.
No, I lean Blue Jackets there, Ross, just because I really don't like the Detroit Red Wings. So let's go with Blue Jackets there.
We're going to be rooting for the New York Islanders to beat the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yep, that's a weird one. Yep.
Yeah. And the Avalanche to just continue putting the Buffalo Sabres out of their misery. More importantly, a couple late night games that do have implications for the Ottawa Senators. And it's, one great matchup and one matchup that a bit of an underdog we're cheering for. We're going to be rooting for the Vegas Golden Knights over the Philadelphia Flyers and the San Jose Sharks
recently.
So we got the Golden Knights and the Sharks as the two teams we need to win out west.
Sens fans have always loved cheering for the Golden Knights and the San Jose Sharks.
Oh yeah, haven't we ever? Those are probably the two teams out west that we cheer to lose the most, but not tonight. Tonight we need you.
The future is teal.
The future. Hey, how about the present being teal? Let's get a win here, San Jose. Come on.
Yep, let's go.
Come on, because the Lightning do have games in hand, and they're just a really good team. So if they could lose a couple that they should win, we won't be too upset about that. All right, my final thoughts. Oh, I had something here that I had a qualm with. Oh, I know. Did you see the double IHF tweet at the end?
I was shocked you haven't brought this up. Go off.
I couldn't believe it. Last year at the end of the World Juniors, it was the most childish. Like, it was downright rude. Their power rankings at the end of the World Juniors, where
all of them are weird. Like, who wrote this and who approved this?
I have no clue. Power rankings here as of January 5th. This is from the official double IHF hockey account. Power rankings. So just like, I'm not going to read them all, just the Team Canada one, where they say in Ottawa, this was at the end of last World Juniors, so they say in Ottawa, we'll play better than the Senators. Huh. You think?
You sure about that?
You sure about that? Team Canada has lost more games at the CTC than the Ottawa Senators since November 24th in 2 less games. So I'd just like to say, double IHF, figure it out.
Yeah, like I was reading through these, Ross, and every single one, I'm just like, this is just weird. Like, half of them, I'm like, what are you even referring to here?
No clue. So yeah, you're on the hot seat, double IHF. But will we be watching on a second screen tonight? Maybe.
Of course.
I'm just disappointed in Canada. I'm not upset. I'm just disappointed.
Same.
They
have a chance to redeem themselves, Ross. Like, who cares what happens in the round robin if you make it happen in the elimination games?
Well, double attempt to reinvigorate themselves, because not only did they play terribly throughout the round robin play, losing to Latvia and the U.S., but they also were eliminated in the quarterfinals by Czechia last year.
Yep.
And that's tonight's opponent. So we'll be watching for all that. And we'll also have the postcast for you after tonight's Ottawa Senators game. The Senators taking on the Stars in Dallas. It is an 8 o'clock puck drop. For the latest, make sure you're following along at Sens Central on Twitter, LockedOn.Senators on Instagram. For today, we say goodbye. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This is another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.